Right. Islam, we live. Moors in America. Thank you everybody for coming in. We're going to be interviewing the author Keith Moore, author of several books, one of which I've read, Moor Circle 7. Um, this is going to be a very interesting interview. We'll be getting started real soon. But you know how we do. First and foremost, we give honors to the Most High, Father of the universe, Allah. We give honors to our holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. We give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We also give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh, the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's Brother E. Millie Ill. We give honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh, Brother D. Bailey Ill. All right. We give honors to all faithful members of the Moorish Science Temple of America out there, the Supreme Grand Council, the Grand Body, everyone. We give honors to all the Asiatics out there, whether you consider yourself a Moor or not. All right. And we give honors to you for tuning in and for liking and sharing this video to help and get this information out there. So always we give honors to everybody out there. And I always ask everyone to share these videos. It's very important that you don't just watch this, that you help to share to get that information out there. And once again, we look forward to speaking with this brother. He's going to be calling in shortly. If anyone has any questions, I would say go ahead and type them in the chat. I'm currently not able to see everything in the chat, but we'll be checking your messages. And hang on one second. We have somebody else too that's going to be looking out to see what people are asking. So we will try to get to your questions. For those who don't know, though, definitely check out the book Moorish Circle 7. And he's actually wrote several books. And if you're watching this on YouTube or on a computer, go and go to the description and click on the links, because his books are actually in those links too as well. All right. So that's another thing I would advise everyone to do. Go to the actual app or on your computer and go into the description for this video right here. And we have the links in there for his books. Okay. And like I was saying, though, I'm going to try to keep an eye on what you guys are asking in the chat. And we'll be getting started real soon, real shortly. Let some more people come in here. And just, thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in. All right. And I see. Okay. That's good. So I need y'all to hit that share button. Just make sure you're hitting that share button. Islam to both of you Moors. Peace and love. All right. Okay, so cool. Now I'll be able to see this chat too. So while we're waiting on that, brother, if there's anything else anybody wants to ask or add to the discussion, go ahead. That should be the brother right now. Peace.
Yeah, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a pretty nice, cool night in Chicago. You know how that is.
Okay, great. So you're in Mecca. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
I live in Chicago.
Great. So it's a pleasure speaking with you. I have the book Moor Circle 7. I haven't read your other books yet, but if you could briefly just describe yourself, how many books you've written, how long you've been studying Masonic history, the occult, and I'll just go ahead and turn the floor over to you. We're live right now.
Okay. Let's see. 25-year Mason. Crossed over in the year of 1992. Prior to that, I was a member of the junior craft, and then it's only fitting that automatically once you leave the junior craft, you go.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. We lost you for a second. Are you still there?
I have another one, Freemasonry, Greek philosophy.
I'm sorry, you cut out right after you said the junior craft.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I started off with junior craft, and then in '91, and then it was only fitting that when I reached a certain age that I was going to enter ancient craft masonry. First and foremost, I am a Prince Hall Freemason.
All right.
I have been a member again, like I said, for 25 years. The books that I've written so far 5. I have one coming out next month. Moor Circle 7, which is a copy that you have right before you. Another book called Freemasonry, Greek Philosophy, the Prince Hall Fraternity, and the Egyptian African World Connection. And then my most recent publication, which is Masonic Light from Ancient Africa. And then I guess for some reason, I had a little bit more in me, and I had one more. I wrote a pamphlet book called Tubal Cain, the Ancient Masonic Blacksmith God. Basically breaks down that symbol, breaks down its origins, breaks down the sexual origins of that symbol, gets you more deeper into understanding the true nature of manhood. And next month, as of August the 1st, I have another book called How Egyptian and Moorish Knowledge Influenced Western Masonic Thought. That book basically covers more of the transmission of knowledge through the 4 major continents: Africa, Asia, Europe, and then finally America. And it was basically a last-minute piece. It just seemed like I woke up one morning at 5 in the morning, and it just came to me, and I just started flowing with it. And so basically I'm covering in that book how knowledge has been, transformed from one continent to another. Okay, we know in Africa, I know as you Moors call it, I believe Amexium.
Yes.
Yeah, so in Amexium, then it went to Europe, then it went to Asia, and then it went to Europe, but it took on many different changes. This is why, when you look at books like Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James, he explains why a lot of this information has been changed or altered or manipulated to fit the conquering parties. So yeah, this book is basically more of a, last minute, it just came out of me. And this book will be out August the 1st, as a matter of fact. Let's see, anything else you would like to know?
Okay, so that's the book. For the people online, that's on the thumbnail, right? That's the book with the pharaoh on the cover.
The pink liquor one, yeah. The pink liquor one, yeah.
All right.
That won't be out August 1st.
And then the book you said that it was a pamphlet. I think you said Tubal Cain. Does that have a patah on the cover of it?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I believe the brother. I believe the book was Tubal Cain, or a booklet that you said you wrote. Does that have patah on the cover?
Yeah, that's Tubal Cain, the Ancient Masonic Blacksmith God.
Okay.
That's basically that's a lecture. That was a lecture I composed back in 2002, and I just wanted to get it out there. It's part of that lecture is in the second book, Freemasonry, Greek Philosophy. But I added some other stuff that I had just learned about that symbol to that book. So it's like a 42-page lecture on that symbol itself. It's been out since I believe December. But Masonic Life from Ancient Africa, I spent 5 years writing that one off and on.
Okay. All right. And if I may ask, what led you into or led you to creating the Moorish Circle 7 and going in on the Moorish American movement here and its connection to Freemasonry? I know that may seem like a broad question, but just go ahead and attack it from whatever angle you wish to.
Okay, well, I don't attack it. I'll embrace it. Well, here's how it started. It's probably gonna laugh a little bit. It was me and my friends. We were out one night and we were having libations, and we were at a bar. This happened in 2003, and apparently, a Moorish American that came into the establishment, and I guess he was just so full of zeal and everything that he just wanted to just bring the teachings of Noble Drew Ali in a place full of people who've been drinking. And I kept telling them, maybe this wouldn't be the perfect place for you to do that. People have already been drinking, they're intoxicated, and you're trying to teach them a knowledge that they can't comprehend under the influence. And so, me and him, we had a conversation. We talked about, more science, something I've been studying, since back in 1994. Because, see, the same time I became a Freemason, about a year later, I was invited to join a Moorish Science Temple. Temple number 1. There's a number of temple number 1s in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the head of this temple, I think, was DePaul Bay, and this was Emily Eel and DePaul Bay, and there was a couple other cats. And so they invited me in, and I got a copy of the Holy Quran, and they gave me some, 101s and stuff like that. And I started sitting down and just started reading it. And basically, as I started reading it, it just basically brought forth a lot of things that I had already been studying prior and all that stuff. But anyway, going back into 2003, after me and this brother had a long conversation, I was able to convince him that maybe you should, approach, your zeal in another fashion instead of going into a bar full of people who were drinking. And so I came home at 3 o'clock that morning and I started writing. And that's how Moor Circle 7 came to be. Now, if you look at the various chapters of Moor Circle 7, I wrote them in a sequence that not only teaches you about maybe even though a lot of Moors don't agree with, my scholarship that, Moorish science and Masonry are very, almost one of the same, but it also teaches you a really good history lesson, or at least I feel it does. Because not only do I not take you through, the history of, how Noble Drew Ali established his movement, but I also take you into some with the history of America and, how, what are some of the things that Columbus saw, during his travels. Because, there's always been a theory that Columbus was said to have seen, Muslims over here in America, when he really wasn't the first to discover America.
Exactly.
That's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But also I go into the history of Islam itself, understanding that Islam has a very, African presence in it. Even, Muhammad's Muhammad was black. Even in the Quran, it says, note through the fact that I am the blackest of the tribe of Hashim of your land. If a Negro is called to rule over you, so be it. May his face be like dried grapes. That's written in the Quran. And, there's another sect that was his most trusted. Pretty much Muhammad was black.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the Semitic Arabs over there won't agree with, us saying that because they always thought he was Muhammad, he was white and all that, or he was of a Persian. He couldn't have been Persian. Because if you look at the religion of Islam itself, it was started by the Hamitic stock, the black stock. Remember, he was nursed. People still don't understand. Muhammad was breastfed by an Ethiopian woman. His father, I forgot his father's name, was also part African Ethiopian. His mother was Ethiopian. Mm-hmm. So there's a rich African heritage when talking about the origin of Muhammad and the origin of Islam. So basically I went through there, and so, being inspired with all this new and found information, I just went all the way with it. And I have books in my library that talk a little bit about that and all that. One such book you can even download off the internet was Black Arabia by Wesley Muhammad. And then there's another book by, what's this book? I got like several little, one thing about Chicago is you got a lot of independent guys who write a lot of stuff. So I usually hit this bookstore and I get a lot of little nuggets and stuff here and there. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the start of my journey. And then after I wrote Moor Circle 7, then, I got more higher in Masonry, and then I started, desiring more light, as they say, in Masonry. So I started, writing more. I wrote the book, which is Freemasonry, Greek philosophy. And basically, I cover a lot of the Moorish history in that. Because the thing about it is that, if you're a Mason, I see that you are a brother because I saw your ring. You'll notice that, people don't understand that, Masonry was also influenced by African knowledge and African science. And even the Knights Templar, which is one of the auxiliary houses of Masonry, was also influenced by Islam. Because what people fail to understand, in the second book, I talk about how, this code of chivalry that the Knights Templar are supposed to practice, my fair lady and being obedient and all that, and, trying to, have manners and all that stuff, that came from the Arabs of the desert, but to the pure Hermetic black Arabs, because they used to recite poetry. And that's where you get to this one brother named Antar the Lion. I know you've heard of him.
Yeah, that's something also, if you can go in on that topic, I read about that here in this book, The Secret Practices of Sufi Freemasonry, where it was talking about basically how the shrine was created, kind of off of what you were talking about just now. If you could go in on that also as well.
If you're talking about the mystic shrine, well, you got to understand. Before we get into the Order of the Sufi and this new book, How Egyptian and Moorish Knowledge, that new one talks a little bit more about that. I would have to say this book is more dealing with understanding how America really came to be, and how what people would understand is that there were a lot of Muslims, in America, with the establishment of the American colonies. Even George Washington owned slaves that used that word Muslims. And even though they tried to, force Christianity upon them, a lot of them still tried to hold on to their religion. there are certain narratives I put in that book about how, there were his like slaves, call them slaves, they were his slaves or whatever, but these guys were just as intelligent or even more intelligent than he was in terms of understanding things. And so there's a book by, what's her name? I'm going to go to my library in a minute. I'll give you the name of that book. There's an excellent book that talks about the Muslim slavery in America that's written by a beautiful sister based out of New York, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
But anyway, when you're dealing with the shrine, you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with a number of things. Number one, you're dealing with Sufism, but then Sufism it comes there, but it comes there hidden. You're also dealing with Knights Templarism, but you're also dealing with, what they call the Muslim assassins. And they call them the Hashashin. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before, but, in other words, just as sure as the Knight had their obligation to guard pilgrims to the Holy Land, the Muslims had their own little, group of people that guarded their pilgrims to the Holy Land. And so when we think of Jerusalem, we think of a land that's been conquered a number of times. Everybody wants this little small piece of barren of land. It's not really worth that much except for religious purposes. Nothing really can grow there. I mean, it just has a religious holy significance. But with that being said, back in, I want to say 808 AD, Pope Leo II, or was it Pope Innocent? It was one of the two. Basically issued an edict, I should say. And he wanted to take back the Holy Land because he felt that after Constantine had moved the Holy Roman Empire east, which created the Eastern Byzantine Empire, they wanted all that land back. But the Muslims had took it from the Byzantine. Remember, Constantinople fell in 10, I forgot what years. I can't really give you dates right now because I have my stuff with me. Mm-hmm. But Constantine fell. The Muslims took over that area. The Christians of the West of the Roman Empire wanted to take back that land, and that's where the Crusades came in. When the Crusades came in, first people couldn't understand there were there were 5 major Crusades, but there were some other little dummy offshoot Crusades too that failed big time. For example, the Children's Crusade, where a bunch of kids got together and they felt they was going to take back the Holy Land, and they ended up getting slaughtered, getting slaughtered by the Muslims. A lot of them were sold into slavery and all that stuff. But a lot of people don't talk about the Children's Crusade, but that's a different story. But anyway, there were 5 Crusades in all. They were able to take the land for a minute. 100 years they may have held it. They may have held it for a little bit, and then the Muslims eventually came back and took it. Make a long story short, this is the history of Jerusalem. But the shrine basically is a mixture of understanding who the Knights Templar fought against, along with Sufism, with the knowledge that if you look at the shrine rituals, you'll see some Sufism in it. And it's also mixed with a lot of the Arabic etiquette, I should say. With reciting poetry, speaking the romantic tongue. Freemasonry Greek philosophy speaks a lot about this. I talk a lot about how poetry play a role in creating like these orders of like I'm trying to use the right word, gallantry and eliteness and loyalty and honor and all that. All that came from the Hamitic Arabs in the desert. They were practicing, poetry and speaking the romantic tongue long before Knights Templarism even ever exists. Uh-huh. Antar was one of them, one of the early poets, and there was a couple other ones that was out there. So the shrine is a little bit more deeper than that. Even though we call it the playhouse of masonry, but there is a serious side to it.
All right. Would you say that the craft is kind of like a continuation of the mystery system?
The craft is only but one continuation of the mystery system. There's others. I mean, think about it. Moorish science is a mystery system. Well, it's not really per se you could call it. It depends on what you call a mystery system. But it is a learning system, right? Am I right? Didn't Noble Drew Ali establish a system for you guys to learn certain things?
That's correct.
Right? Yeah. So if you want to call it a mystery system, it is. Because, back in the day, they really didn't share too much of their information with a lot of people. Because people couldn't understand that during the rise of the Moorish Science Temple, Noble Drew Ali was a little bit skeptical about who he let join, too. Because, there were a lot of infiltrators, with the FBI and all that. If you go down to the Chicago Library and the Carter G. Woodson Library and look at some of the FBI files that they had on the Moorish Science Temple, you'd be like, damn, they really did have people who infiltrated the order and did a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, neither here or there. He basically screened pretty much whoever he wanted, whoever he brought into the order, and it flourished. I mean, he had temples all over the United States, right? He had Chicago, who we already know is like the birthplace. Well, no, New Jersey, he started the Canaanite Temple in New Jersey in 1913.
Can you speak on that? Because you said in the book that you I believe you said that you had come across the sigil papers, and you were speaking about the temple.
Moors,
Okay.
You know what? That was you know what? Those papers are in my library somewhere, and I found a couple of those. I don't know if they even still exist no more, but they call themselves the sigil Moors.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me some literature on their stuff, and I have it. And I don't know what I did with it, but it was pretty remarkable what I read through their literature.
Can you speak at all about the temple that the prophet founded prior to the MSTA?
Yeah, it was called the Canaanite Temple. Before he became the Moorish Science Temple of America, he had one in 1913 in, I believe, Newark, New Jersey, called the Canaanite Temple. He erected this again in 1913, and this was like the first. And I think, in the book, I also have a diagram picture of it too. My brother by the name of Rashawn Bay gave me a lot of pictures of stuff, pictures of when he was a child, and pictures of his family and stuff in his early life and all that. And he also gave me that picture of the Canaanite Temple. And so I don't know what happened in New Jersey where he felt that he had to leave, but he eventually settled in Chicago. But you know what? I also have a theory too. Because there's a book written by a guy by the name of Christopher Knight, and it's called All the World is Here. And basically it covers the World's Great Fair of 1893.
Mm-hmm.
And my theory, I'm not saying it's true or not, my theory was Noble Drew Ali was there somewhere in the vicinity of this great fair. Because guess what? The shrine was said to have been invented in the black shrine, not the Arabic, not the white, the ancient Egyptian Arabic order known as the shrine, the black shrine,
mm-hmm.
was said to have started right there at the Great Fair. Because you had all types of religious organizations that attended this fair. And my theory was Noble Drew Ali, when the Great Fair in Chicago,
mm-hmm.
I believe that's where he first started. Because there's a section in Christopher Knight's book. It's called All the World is Here. It's written by he was a professor at Roosevelt University.
Okay.
And he basically said that there was a man who appeared wearing a fez, holding up a book or holding up some information saying, declare your nationality.
Wow.
He didn't give a name. He didn't give anything like that. But he said he was wearing a fez, and he looked like he was of Moroccan descent.
And that was in 1893 at the World's Fair?
1893 at the World's Fair.
Wow. That's
a theory. Now, mind that's not fact. That's a theory that came out of Christopher Knight's book.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, okay, he said a man appeared in Chicago with a fez on. Okay, that sounds like Noble Drew Ali. And I don't know if that's true or not, because he didn't really establish the Moorish Science Temple in Chicago until the 1920s, 1920.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we would have to look into the travel records of, if there's anything showing when people like Muhammad Dous Ali was over here.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's no telling who that could have been, but it's intriguing. I never heard that before.
Yeah, it's really
cool. Somebody in the chat said. Somebody in the chat just said Islam. He said the prophet would have been 7 years old. So.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's only a theory again.
Yeah.
Because the temple of Noble Drew Ali was born in
1886.
86, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, he was born in 1886. Elijah Muhammad was born in 1895.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm just saying, that was a theory. That he just said a man appeared, looking of Moroccan descent, talking about claiming. It could have been Deuce Muhammad Ali. It could have been anybody.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It was a theory.
And what was the name of that book again? Because I've never even heard that.
It's called All the World is Here.
Uh-huh.
By Christopher Knight Lomas, I believe. It's out of Roosevelt University. He basically talks about the World's Fair and how all these different organizations and different orders started appearing and stuff. It could have been the guy who started the shrine. I don't know. It could have been Rochelle Fox. It could have been anybody. I'm just saying, it was just something that he wrote in his book that was in theory.
That is interesting. So there's another thing that I wanted to ask you. Is you have a whole chapter in there about the indigenous presence, of people that look like us, Native American Moors, whatever you want to call them.
The story of the Native American Moor, yeah.
I'd love to hear more about that. And one reason is because if you look at through the lineage of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, people within the Moorish Science Temple of America have been talking for years about the indigenous presence here in the Americas of people that look like us. And this idea within the last 10 or 15 years has started to catch on with more people, and more people are starting to think outside the box, that we didn't just come through the slave trade.
You know what's a great book I had in my library before it got stolen? It
What's
was
that?
called When Nations Gather by Sultan Abdul Latif. Excellent book.
Wow.
Because he talks about those indigenous people. If you can get a chance, I know a brother that sells copies of it. He wants $50 for the book, but I'm gonna pay it. I had the book that someone stole out of my library, but it's called When Nations Gather by Sultan Abdul Latif. Excellent book. But you know what? If you got a printer, you ever heard of this website called Scribe.com?
Yeah.
It's on Scribe.com in digital format, 300 pages, if you want to get it.
Okay. All right. Well, what led you into research in that direction on the indigenous presence here in the Americas?
Well, in the Holy Quran, Circle 7, he mentions, briefly a little bit about all these indigenous people. Now, I'm going from memory. I haven't read the Holy Quran, Circle 7 in a minute. But I know he talks about the Hindus, which I did cover in that book, because I talk about the dark-skinned Hindu. I even talk about in that book, I basically said, I talk about the first presence of racism in the world, and it happened in the Indus Valley. A lot of people think racism just started with, Africans and white folks, but no, racism existed a long time ago. If you go to Indus Valley culture, if you notice, there are dark-skinned Indians and there are what? Fair-skinned Indians, right?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I can hear you just fine.
The thing about it is, those fair-skinned Indians are a result of a group of nomadic tribes called the Aryans that came down from the mountains. And, they basically fought with the dark-skinned Indians, but they couldn't defeat them. So what they did was they intermingled with them. And so now you have India has what is called a caste system, CASTE. And basically within that caste system, they basically, determine your status in that society by your color. Whereas the dark-skinned Indians or the Dravidians are considered, they live south of India, and they consider them to be the worst or the lowest of the lowest. Even Gandhi talked bad about those guys. A lot of people don't know Gandhi was a racist, in his own right. But that's a different story. But you have the fair-skinned Indians. Like I said, if you go to your local gas station, you see some that are bright as, say, maybe bright as you, or even brighter. But then you got some that are just as dark as me, or even darker. So a caste system was created as a result of that. And that to me, that right there documents the very first presence of, racism against a group of people ever. It happened in the Indus Valley.
All right.
Hello?
I'm still here. I can hear you well.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
I thought I lost you because you were fading in and out. So now we're getting to the Native American Moor. And with the Native American Moor, I started doing research on the various different, dark-skinned, I don't want to call them Indians. I'll call them Native Americans. But they were already over here long before the exploration. There's a group of people in North Carolina. I think they call themselves the Muscologians. I might be wrong. Noble Drew Ali would define them as Moors. Then you had a bunch of dark-skinned, before we get into that, there was a lot of, there's always been a theory that Africans visited the Americas long before the arrival of the exploration. And Ivan Van Sertima's They Came Before Columbus documents a lot of that. Because what he said was he found coins that were native to Africa in America when he went down there. And then you got to look at the Olmecs and all that, with all the African features that they had. And then you have to look at some of the paintings and some of the hieroglyphs of some of the dark-skinned Indians that you see. I didn't want to use Indians, but some of the dark-skinned Indians and some of the fair-skinned. So basically what he's saying is there's been an African presence in this continent long before the explorations and all that other stuff. And I talk about that in the Native American Moor too.
Islam.
Because prior to all this, we know the Indians were here. I didn't want to use Indians. I don't use Indians way. We know the Indians were here long before the explorations, and then they were here, say, millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years before anything. Because back in the day, before the Earth split into the way it was, there was a time when you could just walk from one continent to another, and that's what science believed that the Americans did, and how they wound up in America in the first place.
Definitely. And there's actually kind of, you have artifacts that are found, in various places of the world that hint that there was a worldwide culture, and that type of thinking, of course, is on the fringes, and it's not accepted by mainstream society. But I ask a lot of people this. There was a pyramid that was found in Ecuador, and it's not a big pyramid. It's 13 inches high, built out of stone, and it looks like the pyramid on the dollar, where it has 13 steps, and then has the eye of Horus in the capstone, and it glows under a black light too. Have you ever heard about that?
I heard about that somewhat. That's just one of the mysteries. But you got to also understand, there are pyramids all over the world, because there are black pyramids in Cambodia. There are pyramids in China. We know there are pyramids in Egypt, and more importantly, there are pyramids in ancient Nubia, which are said to have been some of the oldest pyramids, if not the oldest in the world. Because people could understand, when you look at Nubia gave birth to two civilizations. They gave birth to the Nile Valley civilization in the north, which we know as the Kemetic or the Egyptians or whatever. But they also gave birth to the Indus culture that I just got through talking about. Those Hindus, those Indians, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So ancient Nubia gave birth to the first two major civilizations right there. And then from Egypt, everything else sprung from everything else. Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, Europe, all that crap, in terms of knowledge. From a Masonic standpoint, we always say that the grandmother lodge of the world is in ancient Kemet, and then it just created lodges all over the world. Where do you think the white boys got that from? Now they want us to think that the United Grand Lodge of England is the mother Grand Lodge of the world, and the only way we can be really acknowledged as brothers is if we pay homage to them. Now, even though as a Prince Hall Mason, we are fraternally recognized by the United Grand Lodge of England, because approximately about 15 years ago, we started fraternally recognizing each other. Now, here's the funny thing. All the northern and western Grand Lodges of the United States are recognized by England, and recognized by their counterpart the Caucasian Grand Lodges. But if you go down south to Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, West Virginia, I think North Carolina, they still want to hold true to that racism. But however, it's starting to break, though. Texas now recognizes each other now. Prince Hall Masonry of Texas, mainstream Grand Lodge, they recognize each other, but we just don't attend. They just don't attend their lodges. Their lodge. In other words, they haven't visited a lodge over on the other side yet. But in Illinois, we've been in Caucasian lodges, and as long as we got our blue cards, we can go visit anytime we want. We just got to call in advance. But that's something different.
Mm-hmm. I
say all this to understand that there should be no guidelines on where knowledge should be spread. Regardless of what jurisdiction, and there should be no race of people that should control everything. Knowledge is something that is meant to be shared by all and nurtured and built upon.
I agree.
So I don't know what lodge you're affiliated with, what Grand Lodge you're affiliated with, brother, but I know I'm also an elk, so I know I'm also a privy to know a lot of brothers who are, regular Grand Lodge, modern Free and Mason, different non-Prince Hall lodges. But when we get in, I don't really talk about jurisdictions because sometimes it gets kind of heated. I said, look, you're a brother in the streets, right? As long as a brother's a brother, as long as you've been through what I've been through. And I basically don't get into that.
All right. So what led you to searching towards the African origins of Masonry? Did it happen after you joined the craft or beforehand?
I read a book called Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James. And I read that book when I was 21. When I read that book, that opened me up to a whole avenue of things. And then after I purchased Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James, I picked up a book called The African Origins by Dr. Muwata Ashby.
Okay.
It is a 3-volume set of 600 pages of pure knowledge. If you really want to just, that man must have spent years writing that book. It is thick. It is the thickest book. Well, it used to be 3 different books. I had the original 3, and I gave those away, but I ended up buying another copy of his African Origins. But it's like one big, thick book at about $50 or $60. But it's a really good read. Then after I picked up African Origins, I picked up a book by Dr. John Henry Clark, African People in World History. Then I picked up several books by Dr. Joseph Ben Yakinen, African Origins and Religion, Black Man of the Nile and His Family. I also got his chronological. I have several books by Dr. Ben, but it was that Black Man of the Nile and the Family that kind of really just took me to the whole new different level. And then I also read his We the Black Jews and a bunch of other stuff, but it was that one. But then I had to go read books by Gerald Massey, Book of Beginnings. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
Yes.
Excellent book.
Yeah.
Ancient Egypt, The Light of the World, Anacalypses by Godfrey Higgins. And the thing about it is, as Dr. Clark has once said, there were white authors who wrote about African people, who wrote highly of African people. So I recommend getting the Book of the Beginnings and Anacalypses if you can. They're expensive, but they're good books.
All right. Okay, so I wanted to get back towards the Moorish Science Temple of America. You spoke on different religions or different movements that came out of it or that were influenced by it. And in the book, you also mentioned that the leader of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, was Elijah Poole Bey. Where did you come across that information? And if you could expound on that for us, please.
Actually, it was a lot of the Moorish Americans here in Chicago, a lot of the older ones. I'm talking, they're long since passed on to the world, but I was talking to Moorish Americans who were in their 80s and 90s who said, I used to sit in the same temple with Elijah Muhammad. His name was Elijah Poole Bey.
Okay, so you actually heard that
from a lot of the old heads.
Okay.
Because, the thing about it is he started technically the Moorish Science Temple was supposed to collapse in 1929 when Noble Drew Ali passed away. And it's just miraculously somehow that in 1930 the Nation of Islam was formed after the Moorish Science Temple declined in 29, a year apart from each other. Don't you think that's kind of coincidence?
Yeah. If I had this photo, I would show the screenshot of it. But there was a picture. I believe it was the Last Temple in Detroit, and the members in there, they all had fezzes, but with the star and crescent on them. And
Elijah Muhammad. There's a picture of him with that same hat on his head. But a lot of old Moorish American guys told me that when Noble Drew Ali passed away, a lot of members went over to the nation, and then Elijah Muhammad was said to have recruited a lot of former Moorish Americans and brought them over to the nation. So I got all this information back in 1992 with a lot of the old Moorish American guys. I visited the temple, and these guys were still living there. They were in their 70s and 80s. There's a bunch of them, and that's where I got all that information from. Because basically, I just started taking notes. And they started talking. As a matter of fact, in 1993, the Washington lady, goes to the El Bay.
Mm-hmm.
The one down there in Louisiana, she owns the land, and she says she's a nation, the Washington Nation, or the Washington Moors.
Yes.
I met her in 1993, and I met her in 94.
Okay.
What it was Noble Drew Ali's birthday. They invited me, and we had a banquet and everything. It was January 8th, I remember, because his birthday is January 8th, right?
Yes. That's correct.
Hello?
I'm here. That's correct.
It was on a I want to say a Saturday or Sunday, and we had this huge banquet. So a lot of Moors that came out, but they also invited El Ghost and El Bay there. And so we all ate, we all was, we were just fraternizing and everything. And then she got up to speak. And she was basically giving a little history of the Washington Moors and how, her ancestors owned some land, or they were entitled to some land down there. So she was an empress because she was descendant of some Native American princes or something like that. Remember, you have to understand, I was 20, 21 then when this was going down. So I really didn't understand a lot of the history of it until until they started talking. But whatever she said in the course of that speech riled up a bunch of the old heads, the older Moors, and they asked her to leave. They said, you're a corrupt teacher of Noble Drew Ali, and we're going to actually leave this banquet. And you know what? They kicked them out. Now, I saw this with my own eyes in Chicago in 1994, and I was 21 or 22 then, or 21 of the two. Wow. So anyway, she was upset, she left, and all that stuff. But I began to ask some of the older guys, okay, well, what happened? Why did y'all put her out? Well, she just started saying things that went against the prophet's teachings, and we're not going to sit up here and let nobody corrupt the prophet's teachings. Mm-hmm. And he was just telling me, well, Moore, you're a young Moor, so brother, one day I'll sit down with you and we'll talk a little bit more, and I'll explain to what's going on and what she was trying to do. But anyway, they asked her to leave.
Wow.
Now that was a weird experience for me. Now, mind you, I was young then. So yeah, my studies into the Moorish Science Temple and my studies of the history have taken me all over.
Islam. Okay, so for the people in the chat that's saying there's no proof that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in the temple, or that he said that he actually spoke to people who were in the temple with him. So this is like through word of mouth. So don't get mad at the messenger. Yeah, don't. That is what it is. He didn't say he saw the records.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. He didn't say that he saw the records. This is what people told him.
Yeah, and you know what? To take it further, the older Moors said, well, we got pictures of them. And I'm like, is there any way I can see some of these pictures? And I never did get with the brother. But he said they had pictures of them. But you know what? If you look at the timeline, the nation was formed in 1930. The Moorish Science Temple went down in 29.
Yeah.
Less than a year later, you create your own branch of Islam. Come on now, that's got to be suspect.
Yeah, and it's known that members like I believe the guy's name was Kareem Bey, the one who had gotten into police custody for attempting to sacrifice. This was like in Detroit when the police came through and raided it and everything.
Here's the crazy thing: there were several factions that broke from the original Moorish Science Temple. You had Emil, he had his own. You had John Gibbons L, who was Noble Drew Ali's chauffeur, but he called himself Noble Drew Ali Incarnate, Reincarnate, I should say. Then you had Richard Ross Bey. You had C. Kirkman Bey. He's the author of a book called The Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood.
The Silent Brotherhood.
A book that he wrote, Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East.
Yeah.
And then there was Richard Ross Bey. There was Kirkman Bey. There was Emil Hill, John Gibbons L. There was a couple other Moors that I forgot. That each one of them broke away and started their own temple number ones. And then, if you really, like I said, I started breaking down like the different factions of it, and then there was some white guy. He even created his own Moorish Science Temple.
Wow.
He called themselves the Moorish Orthodox Church of America. They were based out of New Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't even know whatever happened to that guy. But yeah.
Yeah, I think he got into trouble for like pedophilia or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, he's in. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. But yeah. So, one thing I wanted to ask you about. In the book, you correlated the Circle 7 with the pyramid. You broke down the symbology of it. If you could speak on that for us, please.
The Circle 7 with the pyramid. Oh, okay. I'm trying to think.
Basically, you explain how it has 360 degrees.
Okay, that's the fence. That was the fence I was talking about. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here. I can hear you.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the pyramid. I did reference the pyramid in that particular lecture, but it was more about the fence.
Okay.
If I remember. It's funny. I wrote that book in 2005, and every time I get a copy of it, somebody gets it from me as soon as I get it. So I haven't read my own book in years.
I hear you. Let me see if I could find exactly where.
Because if memory serves me right, because see, what I wrote about the Circle 7 was I said this is a symbol that was deeply rooted in esotericism as well as mystical thought. and it represents two forms. The heaven, it represents the heavens or the sky and the earth. And it was 4 plus 3 equals 7, if I'm right. If memory serves me right. That's at the very end of it, though.
Okay, yeah. You're basically talking about the three points of the pyramid.
Yeah.
How 3 plus 4 equals 7. 360 degrees.
Yeah. Okay. And then and then I broke down the Moorish 101s, right? I broke down some of the questions of the Moorish 101.
Yeah. I believe in the chapter before that.
For example, I said there were 7 angels that ruled and presided over the affairs of man under the eyes of God, right?
Yeah.
And then I broke down. I commenced to start breaking down some of their names. I'm trying to remember some of the stuff I wrote in that book. Michael, if you break down his Egyptian names and all that stuff, yeah, Michael, Raphael, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, and then a bunch of other ones. But yeah, I'm remembering some of them now.
Let me see. Okay, I got you. Hang on 1 second. The pyramid, 4 sides. We have 3 variable points on the pyramid with this triangular shape. 4 sides on each side, contributing 90 degrees. 90 times 4 is 360. 360 is a circle. 360 degrees of 4 90-degree angles.
Yeah, I drew that. Yeah, okay, I remember that. Okay. Well, like I said, I mean, the number 7, if you really look at it as a... Can you hear me, brother?
I can hear you.
The number 7. Hello?
We good. We can hear you good.
Yeah. If you look at number 7, the number 7 has a bunch of meanings, a bunch of different manifestations. And if you look at it, okay, we know there are, 7 days in a week. We know that the number 7 is mentioned 500 times in the Bible. We know that Noble Drew Ali constructed 7 through a number of tenants. I don't remember all of them, but I know they were tenants on that. I would have to go back to my research on that. I haven't read time. As a matter of fact, you're prompting me to go buy a copy of my own stuff so I can look over it again. But you know what? I talk a lot about this in the new one that's coming out August the 1st. Not so much about the symbolism of Moorish Science Temple. I don't really get into the Moorish Science Temple with that. I get more into the transmission of knowledge from those 4 continents. So I get more into understanding how Islam has really impacted America and how it really has manifested into our thinking and to the religion of America. Because there are a lot of New Age movements that came from this. But I can talk more about that book later if you wish to do so. But yeah, I mean, break it down to some of the number 7. I did so in that book, but I can't visually look at what I wrote. I'm sorry about that.
No, but it makes sense. I mean, the 7 chakras. We have 7 continents. There's 7 days in the week, right? Yeah. Everything adds up to.
There were 7 angels mentioned in the Book of Enoch, and the 7 angels mentioned. I remember it somewhat. Yeah.
All right. So, one more question about. You also tied that in with the zodiac and the constellation Ra, the lion of the zodiac. If you could speak on that a little bit.
Oh, well, you know what? I was going a little bit into the Moorish charter where there was the lion and the lamb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, I can't remember what I said verbatim in that, but you know what? There was some other additional information because the symbol of the lion is a symbol of strength, right? And the symbol of the lamb is purity. In Masonry, we use what? Lambskin apron, right?
That's right.
But then the lion, we use what? The strong grip of what? The lion's what? Paw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in Masonic lore, Solomon was said to have raised Hiram with the strong grip of the Lion of Judah, right? Of course, you go into the book of Genesis, it says Judah is a lion's whelp, whereas Jacob or Israel referred to his son Judah as a lion. And, obviously he was his favorite son because guess what? When he blessed Judah, it was through the line of Judah that all the kings of Israel came into existence from David to Solomon to Hezekiah and all those other cats that came from the line of Judah. And then with the lamb is a symbol of purity. Now, if we take this into Mason, even though I know it's on the Moorish Science Charter and all that stuff, if you look at why is the lambskin anchor pure in masonry? I'm losing my voice. Well, let's put it this way. When they sacrificed the lamb, how did they cut that lamb, brother? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. When they sacrificed that lamb, they cut the lamb from throat to throat, from ear to ear, so they can let the blood drain out of it without unpurifying the skin or damage the skin in any way with blood or nothing. So they always cut it from ear to ear to let the blood drain out, so it wouldn't unpurify the skin. Once they did that, that's when they were permitted to sacrifice the lamb on the altar. It had to be drained. It had to be, purified. This is where you get the term kosher from.
Okay.
Yeah. So there were a couple other symbols on the Moorish charter, the handshakes and all that. I had to revisit all that stuff when I purchased another copy of my book. So, do you have any other questions, me, brother?
All right, no, that's really it. Unless we have anything in the chat, I would like to have you on again in the future, definitely to discuss your new book. Hang on one second. I'm gonna look through and see if we have any questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, but definitely we would love to have you on again in the future. You say your book's coming out in August?
August the 1st. It's called How Egyptian and Moorish Knowledge Influenced Western Masonic Thought.
All right. Okay, I appreciate you for coming on again. Once again, for everybody that's in here, whether you're watching it on TV or your phone, computer, make sure that you do actually go on and watch this on YouTube or on your computer again and click on the description. We have the links in there for 4 of this brother's books. I definitely recommend Moorish Circle 7 for everyone because I've read it myself. And if that's any indication of the brother's scholarship, definitely check out his other books as well. Do you have a website or anything else that you'd like to share with the people?
I don't right now. I'm working on a website, but it's a process. But Masonic Life from Ancient Africa is my most recent publication, and that book breaks down a lot of symbols, a lot of information.
All right. Okay.
And if you will, brother, can you send me a link to this on YouTube too as well?
Yeah, definitely. I will get that to you. And I say we revisit this again in in about 2 months so that we can digest that new book and speak in or go in on that as well.
Okay, thanks. And all my books can be purchased on .com or either through lulu.com or authorhouse.com.
Okay, cool. Well, we have the Amazon links in there in the description too for this brother's book. So definitely y'all go check those out. That's in the description. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you. We'd love to have you on again. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. Okay. Peace and blessings. All right.
Take care. Peace.
Peace. All right, fam. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, everybody, for sharing. Appreciate everything, the comments everybody said in here. Let's see what. Yeah, so thank you again, everybody. Hopefully we can do something again later on this week. We haven't really been doing a lot of shows lately, but we'll do something else maybe this weekend, like around Saturday. Look, if we do have this brother on again though in 2 months, just send me an email. You can send it to bay@moorsinamerica.com. If you have any questions, anything that we didn't ask, anything that you want to cover, you want to pick his brain for, just send me the emails and we'll get to it. Once again, that's bay@moorsinamerica.com, or you could just send me a message on Facebook, moorsinamerica.com, or same thing on Instagram, Moors in America. All right. And somebody had asked about, I don't know if this brother's still watching, but they had asked about temple in Milwaukee. Hang on. Yeah, somebody said, why isn't there a temple in Milwaukee? Look, only thing I could say is to contact the Moorish Science Temple of America. All right, you can go to ofa.net. You can send an email to register@mstofa.net and ask that same question. There may be a study group, and then it depends on where you're at. Well, I'm thinking Wisconsin. You're in Milwaukee, so there's some brothers in Milwaukee. I'm pretty sure of it. I don't know if they already have a study group or what, but definitely do what I just said. Register at mstofa.net or just go to the website and contact them. And that's right. Maybe if there isn't one, you could be the one to do it. And actually, that's what a lot of Moors are going to have to do, because if there's nothing being done, if there's no, there was no Moors really organizing, doing anything in my city where I'm at. So, that's what we're doing right now. And then once again, for the brothers that was in the chat saying that there's no proof about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said that he spoke with people, older Moors, who said they were in the temple with him, So you could take that or leave it. And it's just like another brother said in the chat, the hadiths, I mean, it's going off of hearsay, what people are saying. So it is what it is. Nobody said that it's like concrete proof. All right. And looks like that's really it. And some of y'all just rude, man. But it's all good. And on that note, we about to cut this off. Yeah. Maybe we do something again Saturday, this weekend. If not, see y'all next week. All right. Peace. Peace and love.